Hey, I wrote a blog a while ago under my real name is Sean Shears, and I wrote a blog under Sean Shears 1 on WordPress about Matchroom Sport and about how well I thought Eddie Hearn had done and how I liked their philosophy of working in general as a sports company, bringing different sports from snooker to darts to fishing, all under one banner. Boxing is probably their biggest achievement. Because, quite frankly, I mean, I've never met Frank Warren, but from what I've seen of Eddie Hearn, he's a fairly honest guy. I saw an interview recently of him on Eiffel TV with Kugan Cassius, responding to the Hay and Bellew fight, and talking about Katie Taylor, Sam Egginton, Dave Allen, Dillian White. And the thing is, he's been honest. I've been watching a lot of these interviews over the past 3 years, and it's drawn. I mean, I've always been a boxing fan. I've always been a combat sports fan. But what I like about Eddie is he will tell you really what's going on. Frank will keep. No one knew about purse bids before Eddie Hearn started talking about it on social media. You really had to be a boxing encyclopedia, a boxing historian to know this. But what I think is quite nice is right is that basically there's been a lot. There's been no bigger injustices in one sport than what there has in boxing. More great athletes have ended up broke and with nothing, and brain damaged as a result of the sport. I mean, look at Sugar Ray Robinson, a prime example of that, the best example. But it's also enduring, it's on a high, but I think Eddie Hearn is close to putting it back onto that pedestal of this is one of our oldest sports, it's one of our premier sports, it's one of our classic sports, and we should respect it in that manner. You're not going to get a sport that is going to test the human body more so than boxing. It's as simple as that, right? MMA, yeah, great. But when you're at Matchroom's level, it's like you go to Box Nation. I have a Box Nation subscription because there's loads of places now that are doing pay-per-view. So I got a Box Nation subscription. I'll give you an example. This is when there's just Box Nation and Matchroom. Before Channel 5 come along, before ITV come along. Got the Box Nation thing for David Haye versus Chisora. And I think for Flintoff's fight. And after that, I watched it for Cotto, I watched it for Bernard Hopkins, I watched it for all the stuff that you'd see for free in America, right? On public TV, since the TV deal's gone down there. But the thing is that's part of the thing, is that the Americans appreciate the sport as a national sport, as a heritage sport, and that's how we need to see boxing. Now, whether it's male or female, it's still a heritage sport, and they have a lot more fan events, a lot more fan zone events, and I think that's where Eddie Hearn's going to take it, because now he's got it he's got it sorted from a fighter's point of view. Fixed is a Frank Warren word. We won't use that. Fixed is a Chris Eubank. Well, not a Chris Eubank. Fixed is a word used by dodgy people. People can say, oh, Eddie Hearn's dodgy. Yeah, he's dodgy. But then I can understand the relief and the pressure that the guy's under. I've played, as a songwriter, I've played in Edinburgh, I've booked out for my own shows there, nearly, thousands of pounds for 1 hour and one person, and people are like, oh, it's a bit of fun, yeah. No, I can't get round the place, so it's not, it's business, it's reputation. Did the Camden Fringe, sold that out. Yeah, the pressure that is on you when you stick your name above any door or any review is huge. Right? And you don't, whether it's one person or 100,000 people, you don't want people to go, God, that was shit. Right? And to be honest with you, some things are going to be for some people's liking, some things ain't. But the thing I don't like about Frank Warren, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, is look at the Ricky Burns situation. I don't know exactly what happened there. But even if Ricky Burns was completely in the wrong, all he done was £4 million, right, for his whole boxing career. That's all he's got. Frank Warren has been in the boxing game since the late 70s, right? He's got more money than he knows what to do with. And he Don King'd the guy. He took him for every penny he was worth. Eddie Hearn took him in and said, look, we got a set-up deal here at Sky. This is the take you take. We take a massive 10%, but we're going to try and get you back up to where you should be. And the dream weekend for me was, I think, we had Ricky Burns become a freeweight champion on Saturday, and on Sunday we had Tony Bellew become cruiserweight champion. And the great thing is that he's given other fighters and people that are from the Frank Warren sort of era a second chance. Look at Johnny Nelson, great cruiserweight when he became a champion, great champion when he got that confidence up. Jamie McDonald, who had built Matchroom from his own blood, who was only 1 or 2 fights away from a world title shot and decided to retire. Eddie's made sure he's been on TV. He's had a good job. Spencer Oliver, again, tragic case that he got hurt in the ring. But he's done well by bringing these people back, and he's shown respect for what they do in the ring. And he's shown it with Carl Froch, because he could have said to Froch, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. Carl could still be going now. He could be 7 or 8 fights in, having taken quite a few beatings. But the fact is Eddie knew we're not going to, not Eddie, but Carl knew as well. But Eddie's kept everybody's sort of feet on the ground. And it's great because Carl did have that mainstream exposure that, Calzaghe had before he went to Sky and blah, blah, blah. But what I feel is that even fighters now, Tony Bellew 5 years ago started with Sky, started on Sky. People now know who he is. The main boxing guy on the street now knows who he is. David Haye only really had one fight on terrestrial TV before going to Sky and winning the world title, and then people knew who he was. But Eddie's quite good at plucking these guys from obscurity and making them big, making them money, and making everybody leave with enough. Now, if they choose to piss that up the wall, that's their business. But in a business that some of the greatest athletes of all time have ended up penniless, brain damaged and broken. I mean, you look at Sugar Ray Robinson, that's a prime example. And the sport is littered with pieces of meat that have just been beaten on too many times. And Eddie Hearn seems to be this kind of guy that is like, here's the plan, here's the exit strategy, here's the way that you leave with your dignity, here's the way that I leave with my reputation. You can't argue with that. People say, oh, that's wrong. I don't think it's wrong, I think it's right. I think what he's doing for boxing is great. He needs to do more fan zones and more signings for the boxers and things like that, because I think it needs to now become, the only way it can go now is get bigger. And the only way it can get bigger is to remind people that it's part of our institution. Boxing is one of our major sports. It's a world classic sport. And at the end of the day, maybe him teaming up with Mayweather Promotions will allow this to happen. I'm worried being in a wheelchair that I'll go to a weigh-in and not see anything, not meet anybody. But that's life, that may happen. But the guy's a top draw bloke in terms of, he could just say, yeah, go get your brains punched out and I'll just count my money. But he's not about that. The fact is, he's got to keep fighters wanting to come to Matchroom and fighting for them, and that means looking out for their best interest. That's why Eddie Hearn's a good promoter.